Hey everybody, this is Phil with another episode of Michigan Main Street, and I'm here in beautiful downtown Adrian with my two new friends, Jay and Dusty. Good morning, guys.
Good morning. Good morning.
Hello, hello. Before we jump into the nitty-gritty of this conversation, maybe let's do a little introduction. Jay, who are you? What do you do here? Why are you here?
I am Jay Marks. I am the executive director of the downtown Adrian Main Street. I kind of organize and help everything that happens downtown.
Yeah, the boss, man. What were you doing before this position?
Before this position, I was actually a senior technical advisor for Apple.
Really?
Yeah.
How'd you get into that?
Had a little bit of a technology background and applied, wound up working from home for them for 7 years.
Crazy. What attracted you into this position?
Well, a little muddy, actually. My wife and I own a small business, so we were involved in downtown. Involved in quite a bit within the city of Adrian, and there was an opportunity. A couple people approached me about the opportunity, and so I reached out to Dusty, and he put his claws in me and didn't let me leave his office. So
that's sometimes how you got to do it. You got to friendly but coercively persuade people. Dusty, what about you? Who are you? Why are you here?
Yeah, I'm Dusty Steele. I'm the current chairperson for the Adrian Main Street Board. I'm a financial planner, have a downtown business, HB Steele, and I've been in the business for 32 years.
Wow.
But I moved back to this community. I went to Atlanta right after I went to college.
Really?
At Central Michigan, and I went to Atlanta, worked for Merrill Lynch for 12 years, and then came back to my hometown. And almost immediately got involved in the downtown. My mother was a big advocate for our downtown. Her name was Joanne Steele. And she was revitalizing buildings way back 25 years ago. And I never let go after that.
Oh, you're following in your mother's footsteps. I love that. Why the move from Atlanta back home?
Well, I had 3 children, and that's a big city. And I found myself moving out to the suburbs, and I was sitting there thinking to myself, why don't I move back to my small town and raise these children in a better environment?
It sounds like you wanted that hometown vibe, so it makes sense to go actually back to your hometown.
That's right.
I love it. I've been to Adrian once before, but to my fault, I didn't make it into downtown. Maybe folks listening to this also have never been to Adrian before. Jay, how would you describe Adrian? And Dusty, we can follow up with you. How would you describe Adrian as a community to somebody who has not ever been here before?
we're a small town rural community, but we also have 2 great colleges, that really help, bring the youth vibe to our community. Very heavy into the arts. We're here at the Croswell, and so we're very art focused, and so we really like our students, and we love our arts.
Yeah, Dusty, what about you?
Well, this small town has a great history that goes way back into my building's at 1860, and one of our biggest assets are our building downtown. If you haven't noticed, it's just absolutely beautiful, and there's been a lot of revitalization and beautification of these buildings, like the one we're sitting in here.
Yeah. Speaking of which, it's an absolute treat for me to be here because these are my last 3 communities for Michigan Main Street to cover. And the last 3, we have all been in a historic theater. So we've got the Sioux Theater up in Sault Ste. Marie. I just came from Coldwater this morning with the Tibbetts Opera House. And Jay, what building are we in? And tell me a little bit about this place.
We are in the historic Croswell Opera House. It's the longest running theater in the state of Michigan.
That's incredible because the Tibbetts, I believe, is the 2nd longest running theater. And now I'm sitting here in number 1. And I wish we could be in there, but musical is opening tomorrow and they're building the sets. Is that right?
That's correct.
Yeah. Jersey Boys opens tomorrow.
Excellent. Tell me more about this building, Jay.
It's been several things throughout its life. We've had quite a bit of history here. I'm trying to think of some of the people that have been here.
Yeah, the Governor Croswell, the governor of Michigan, was one that really started. This started, I think it was 1860 or 1853. It was being built, and it used to have a whole different outlook. It had, had the big area where you brought in your horses, and it was a big attraction way back then, and it's evolved over time. And just recently, recent history, I guess it's more 5, 7, 8 years ago, they did a full remodel of this. It was a tremendous accomplishment and a great commitment by all our community members to give. And wow, you can see the look of it.
How cool. I mean, I love that you use the word commitment, because so many other communities, not just here in Michigan, have had opera houses, theaters like this. I mean, it was the movie theater that every single community had one. And then over time, other communities just didn't have that same kind of commitment to buildings like this, and tore them down or covered them up with things and broke down over time through neglect. But here you guys are sitting in the longest running theater in the state of Michigan because of that commitment, and that's so cool.
It is.
I love that.
And it's a great economic driver for us. You know, we were just talking to the artistic director, Jerry Ryder, and she said for June, for the Jersey Boys, they're going to have over 6,000 people visiting.
Wow.
And the majority of those are going to be from outside of our community.
Wow. And you have a great way to leverage that too, because we're sitting in kind of a restaurant bar that's directly connected with the Croswell too, that people don't have to necessarily leave this place. I can stop here, grab a drink, walk into my show, stop for a drink on the way out, and then have a really great evening all on this single site. So that's very cool. Very cool. I would imagine that a commitment to a place like this also means that arts and culture is important in other aspects of the community. And something I want to hear from you guys is, what is Artalicious?
Jay, you want to take a stab at that?
Yeah, Artalicious is now a 3-day event that's been, I believe it's in its 11th year, that really focuses on a juried art show in our downtown. We close all 4 blocks. They have probably in excess of 75 artists that show up and really, you know, just show their wares and really have a great experience. We also have a local entertainment, music. You know, the high school brings the marching band, the orchestra plays. So anybody that's involved in the arts and any of the arts are really part of the focus.
I love that. We're kind of connecting two things, this arts and culture and this building. Another challenge a lot of our communities are facing are historic buildings, but maybe they don't have developers interested in saving them. Maybe the community itself is not. Maybe they're too far gone and they can't really be saved, but they haven't quite been torn down yet. What's the status of developers investing in Adrian and these historic buildings?
I would say that in the last 10 years, I've watched about $30 million come into this community, in this downtown.
Really?
And I would say there's another 30 to 40 teed up already. The developers are all around. I say this, investors are swift. When they know that the tipping point is taking place, they start to move in and look for opportunity, and that's what we are seeing right now.
It sure sounds like you are past that tipping point with that amount of money coming in.
Yeah.
Wow. And that's kind of a win for the community too, because we get to see more here, more historical buildings, more spaces for business. Jay, what do you think about all this development going on here?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, you hear the numbers, and it's hard to quantify sometimes until you actually see them take place. But it gives us opportunity for our entrepreneurs to bring their businesses to our downtown. It gives us opportunities for new residents to come into the downtown. So as we see all of those things happening, it's very exciting, and it's a snowball effect.
And something that I love about this community is you have this development going on, you have these spaces being created for entrepreneurs, but then you have kind of a way to encourage and incubate entrepreneurs to get them started off right and get their businesses up and running so that they can fill these spaces. Tell me about Launch Lenawee.
So my wife and I were actually in the initial cohort of Launch Lenawee,
awesome.
for our business.
How cool. And now you're sitting here. That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great experience. Really, it's a 30,000-foot view of how to operate a business. And when you're done with the program, you wind up having your business plan created. They're in their 6th class. It's just starting in a couple of weeks. And they've probably had, I would guess, about 50 different entrepreneurs come through the program.
Yeah.
And they continue to go back. They offer mentorship. There's some microloan availability. There's a whole education process that really takes place. So,
wow, I love that, because you can create the space, but if you're not necessarily encouraging entrepreneurship, or if you're not giving people who are passionate and want to make it happen the tools, you're going to be fighting kind of a long battle for well-run, established businesses to fill those spaces. But if you can grow it from the grassroots level, very, very cool.
It's interesting. These buildings are they're expensive. Not expensive to buy, expensive to fix, to put them back into play. And there's a new initiative or a new project that we're doing or working on right now. And Jay, maybe you can tell them a little bit about how launch Lenaway, where we can get people a stepping stone, if you will, before they have to take on a building or a major rental space.
Yeah, so we're looking to really build out that entrepreneurial ecosystem, and we're developing some micro retail spots. So you can rent a 200 square foot space that's not in a building, but actual your own space. I have a group of them collectively together that'll provide some, kind of a mini mall feeling, but in a public space, and really give you that stepping stone so you can build your customer clientele, understand what your cash flow is going to be like, all the things that a banker would want when you take the next step.
Such a smart way to go about it, because especially when you talk about gigantic historic buildings like this, a developer comes in, and for it to make mathematical financial sense for them, they need to get a certain amount per square foot, or they need to leave it vacant until somebody can afford that. And if I'm just starting out of my basement, running an Etsy shop, and I want to start selling physical retail, I'm not going to be able to pay $5,000 a month or whatever they're asking. And it gives me a pretty considerable risk in my business as I'm trying to figure out, make mistakes. So doing the micro retail stuff and really providing these middle retail opportunities, such a cool thing. So much going on here in Adrian, guys. What do you think is the catalyst for that? What are the elements here in Adrian really contributing to the movement and the momentum that we're feeling here? Jay first.
It takes a village, right? It's that age-old adage that it does take a village, and we've got the involvement from our service groups, from our community members. There's a lot of passion within the community that they want to revitalize it and make it a draw, and really just need that firm hand along the back, and we've got people doing that, and that's a great opportunity.
Very cool. Dusty, what about you? What do you think?
Well, there's stakeholders that have been in this community for a long, long time. Even the ones that made this place change, the Croswell, and they made a big investment in a place called Strongback. It was 19 apartments and has retail space, and you can tell they're passion dollars because there's no break-even point, or at least it's a long way off. And we're seeing those passion dollars start moving in from a number of families that have been here for years. And all of a sudden, this focus is starting to happen with the community. I'll explain, like First Fridays, for instance. It used to be a thing where we all just sort of gathered. Now it's a huge event, and we see all of our stakeholders come down here and all of our friends in there. And we say in our application for Main Street, what is the difference here? It's the people. It's our people. They are connected and they're working together.
I want to talk to Adrian as a community right now. What an amazing gift these people are, because not every community has people who have a deep emotional, historical ties to the community and are willing to invest in it and say at the same time, there's obviously no financial gain for us within this lifetime. I was just in Coldwater, and it was a similar situation. I talked to a developer, and he said, typically you're looking at a return on investment within 5 to 7 years as a developer, and he's looking at 15 to 20 years. And what that takes is that emotional attachment. He grew up there. It's his hometown, and it sounds like here in Adrian, you have the same kind of people saying, we love this place. We want to make it successful. However long that takes for us to return, then not the focus of it. We want to make Adrian, our hometown, successful. Very cool. Very cool, Adrian.
A lot of this activity and a lot of this behavior got the attention of Lansing, and we've been so fortunate for them to provide us some funding. We're going to be doing a major Riverfront project.
Ooh, tell me more about that. Yeah, who wants to tell me those deets? Jay?
So it'll be a public park right along our riverfront. It will complement our what we call Comstock Park, just across the street. 3,000 feet of trails. It'll connect to our trail system, which is the Kiwanis Regional Trail. It will also provide, potentially some access into the river if we're looking at future uses for canoeing and kayaking and things like that.
Yeah, right now it's covered with a lot of brush and you can't see it, so we're going to reveal it. and clean the river up. And it's more of a lifetime project. So we want to pass it down to generations. We want to clean this river up. We want to clear up the beds and really make it a place in downtown Adrian.
I mean, I'm kind of gushing over Adrian right now, but I'm going to go ahead and gush. I mean, yet another evidence of a strong community fabric when you say something like, this is also a future we're going to pass this project to the next generation, because you're thinking long term. Would I love right now that for me to snap my fingers and have that be a beautiful park and perfect in every way? Absolutely. But you're saying, you know what? We're going to start that ball rolling right now. The next generation is going to keep kicking it, and then within a generation or two, you can have something just amazing. That's very, very cool. So you guys are new to the Main Street program, am I right?
Yeah.
How long have you been a Main Street program here in Adrian?
Oh my gosh, I think it is. When were we approved? A year and a half ago?
Yeah.
It was
Okay, newbies. Why? Maybe take me back to the time before you became a Main Street. What about the Main Street program attracted you as a community, saying, "Hey, this is something that we have to jump on board with"?
It's interesting that at the time, it was 2019, and I went up to Lansing to go in front of a group of 25. They came from the MEDC to all over. And there was current cities and DDA directors in this room, and they were evaluating whether or not we would get to the select level. And went up there unprepared. And we really did not do well. But I took the opportunity to say, okay, we didn't do well, but what is it that you want to see from us? And it was a learning moment. They really took the time to share. One of the things I remember the most is, you're going to have to do better because we don't want to share these services with just anybody. And technical services, we couldn't really conceptualize, and now we see it. Now we're experiencing the great additives that they give to us, like you.
Make me feel all warm and fuzzy. I love that you pointed out kind of the selective nature of the Main Street program. And I think we talked about this once in one of the very early episodes, and just talking about how that's very intentional, not as an exclusive club, not as an elitist kind of like, well, if you're not good enough, we're not going to help you. But they understand you have to buy in as a community. You've got to do your homework. You got to make it work. And then they throw the gasoline on the fire through technical assistance and access to other resources to really make it go. If you as a community come up unprepared, they're going to say, well, we can't make this community for you. They know ahead of time it's not going to work. But for them to sit down and say, hey, we get it. We see that you want to be part of it. Here's what you have to do the next go around. And boom, here you are a year and a half later into Main Street. Very cool. Jay, from your perspective so far, a year and a half in, what has been the biggest asset of Adrian being part of this program?
It gives me great guidance through the program. As I look at, I don't want to recreate the wheel because it's already there. And so sharing those resources with other communities, copying some stuff, there's no sense in me trying to create it. Having that, that brotherhood or sisterhood of all the other Main Street directors, it really helps to get things moving a lot faster. I would have taken, years to do things, and now we're starting a mural program in downtown, and I've got all of these other communities to pull resources from and really kickstart it and move really quickly with it.
I love that, because you have some communities that think, well, no other community has ever faced this problem, and we just need to go on and figure it out. And then you're looking at the same kind of problem 30 years, 40 years, 50 years down the road while you're trying to figure out the answer. Meanwhile, Michigan Main Street can come in and say, you know what? We've had 15 other communities just like you face the exact same problem. This is what they did, vacant property, for instance. And within 5 to 10 years, they turned a 95% vacancy rate to a wait list of people waiting to get into, for instance, Old Town Saginaw, a great success story there. They can give you the answer sheet so that you can take those answers, you can adapt it to your community, and now you can have something amazing within a very considerably shorter span of time, rather than waiting 100 years for that project finally to take root. Dusty, what about you? What so far has been the biggest payoff of being part of Main Street?
the growth of our board.
Why do you say that? Explain that to me.
At the beginning of this process, we had made it clear that, to be on the board, you'll really have to become more active. This is not a oversight board. This is a hands-on board.
I use the phrase a board. Yeah. We need a working board here, people. Yeah.
Right. And so we had almost like they had predicted a 100% turnover on the board. And as those board members gained the knowledge of Main Street and they started to see the system and how it's been working, and Jay's been doing a great job of helping us understand that growth. We've had some growing pains here and there. You're going to see that. But our board is strong now. It is really strong and effective, and it's starting to really show its might.
Ooh. I'm excited for you guys, and I don't even live here. Jay first, and then Dusty. If you what plans for the future? What's the vision? What are the needs? Any kind of challenges that you're trying to address? Kind of give me a look at the direction that Adrian is heading over the course of the next year, or 3 years, or 5 years.
We're really looking to grow that inclusive entrepreneurship business in downtown, really get away from the services and get more into the retail. Like many communities, we had a mall that is no longer a mall. And we need to really find that focus to bring more commerce into our downtown. So we're trying those programs to do it. We're looking to increase the vibrancy, really bringing that mural project, focusing on the arts and that community that way, partnering with our colleges, with our Adrian Center for the Arts, all of those things to really draw that vibrancy in and be that place where people want to live. You were talking about the mural program and then listing off the colleges and arts organizations and obviously this place, and you've got Artalicious. I think the mural program is just going to explode. It sounds like there's the fertile ground here of people who want to see things like that, and I think it's just going to be an absolute success. Dusty, what about you? What vision for downtown Adrian, things that you want to address, challenges, opportunities?
Well, if they used to say, if you build it, they will come. But I used to say, if we want vibrancy downtown, we need to create some housing. We need to create apartments. We need to get them revitalized and get everybody living down here. What's exciting is we have waiting lists for apartments down here.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The people love to live down here, and they want to live down here. We have a new apartment building project that's being developed on the new Riverfront project.
Very cool.
So it'll be a partnership, public-private partnership. We're getting involved with all those agencies. And so I envision, and it's about a visioning thought, right? You see this vibrancy. You see the arts in the streets. You see people coming down, and this is the place to be. What is our new slogan, Adrian?
It happens downtown.
It happens downtown.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that because it doesn't give you too much information. It kind of teases you with the carrot. Well, what exactly happens downtown? Hop on Facebook, hop on a website to see exactly what that is. Oh, man. If you could look into the crystal ball of Adrian in 10 years, 20 years from now, Dusty, what do you think you're going to see as a community and the changes over the course of the next decade or so?
I see it spilling out into our nearby neighborhoods, or nodes is what they call it. And I see all of our historic buildings, our historic houses that are on the outskirts being revitalized themselves and people wanting to live close to the downtown. It was that way. You'll find that there's a tremendous amount of historical houses with names that are on our historic society.
Beautiful. Love it.
And what I would love to see again is that spill effect. I want to be downtown even, and so if I can't be right downtown, I want to be near downtown. And I see this sort of growing outward and really helping all facets of our community. From our east side, west side, north, south, everybody should be included. Everybody needs to be a part of it.
I love it. Yeah, and again, I'm just going to talk directly to Adrian as a community, because sometimes there's a misunderstanding. Or why are we focusing so hard on downtown? Why are we focusing so hard on Main Street? Shouldn't it be an equal level of focus towards everybody? And really, this kind of focus is an equal focus towards everybody, because where the downtown goes, where that central hub goes, that's the thing that raises the tide, raises the ceiling of potential for everybody. So you improve this place, it absolutely does spill over into the neighborhoods, into the other commercial districts, into this feeling of a community that has that vibrancy. Even if you're not necessarily in downtown, that's the thing that raises those ships. Jay, what about you? You look into the crystal ball a couple decades from now, what are you going to see here in Adrian?
My dad is 76 years old, I think he is. He's going to kill me for saying that.
Sorry, Dad.
But, he reminds me of the 50s, how vibrant downtown was, how they would come and they would take a trip downtown and spend it here. And he challenges me every time we talk, when are you going to bring that back? And I go, well, I won't be able to bring it back, Dad, but I'll get close. And seeing the people, in 10 years, I see families walking down the streets, going to restaurants, going to the shops, going to events in different areas throughout our downtown. So that's what I see us becoming, that really inclusive, family-oriented space.
Yeah, it's improving a community. It's a big lift. Communities, as you think about them, one of the most complicated projects you could possibly imagine, with all the different people and all the different needs and all the different moving parts. So it does take a little bit of time. But I just interviewed Charlevoix. They're the oldest Michigan Main Street program. They've been in it for 20 years. I'm sorry if it's 25, but I think it's 20, Charlevoix. And they're a testament to just keep plugging away. 20 years in the lifetime of a community is a drop in the bucket, and they've completely flipped their community upside down. Great American Main Street, which means they won the award for one of the best, or as the best Main Street in America. And simply because they joined this program and they just kept working, and they had a community that was invested. So I'm really excited for you guys. You're a year and a half in. I'm excited to see where you're going to be at in 3 years and 5 years and 10 years and 20 years. It's going to be amazing. If people want to check you out now, though, Jay, where would they go to on the online to see a little bit about Adrian?
DowntownAdrian.com.
Okay.
Or Facebook, Downtown Adrian as well.
Awesome. You guys are amazing. Again, I keep gushing over Adrian. I'm excited to get out in some of these businesses, talk to some more people. You guys are absolute delights. Thank you so much for sharing your time with me. Jay and Dusty, you guys are great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Phil. Appreciate it.